What was your Thanksgiving drama this year? Our family uncle crushed one of the kids at air hockey, made the kid cry, and posted about it on Reddit. I'm the uncle. My mom, who I've been no contact with for most of my life, said she wanted to reconcile and please come to Thanksgiving so she could see her grandson. She wasn't there when we arrived and told my sister that she didn't want to have dinner with us. Literally nobody cared and we had a great Thanksgiving without her. Honestly dodged a bullet. My Thanksgiving dinner was me, my parents, and my younger sister. Just the four of us at my parents' home. Mom got a text message from my aunt, mom's sister, about how grandma, mom's mom, was bad mouthing the food she made and talking about how her boys, mom and aunt's brothers, can't be expected to eat this stuff. Mom texted aunt back with tell her that guests don't get to complain about free food. They just get to choose if they want to eat or not. Apparently aunt took this advice because about 20 minutes later mom got several texts and voicemails. She didn't answer her phone about how aunt kicked people out early and how mom ruined Thanksgiving by telling aunt to say that. This is why we stopped going to family Thanksgivings BTW. Father-in-law got drunk, took his shirt off, and then arm wrestled my son, lost, then tried to tackle his daughter, my wife, also lost. Everyone is worried grandma has dementia, but for some reason she made a pie. Everyone ate it and pretended it was pie. Not sure what to call it. It was in a pie pan. There was no crust. It had apples. Had to call a tow truck on some teenager, friend of front neighbor's kid, because he wouldn't move his car that was blocking my mom's driveway. She told him to move it since she needed to get something for dinner. He answered that he shouldn't had to move it because it's a public street. I go get the stuff and then get home. I again tell him to move it because I want to park up the driveway. Shouts at me that I can find parking up the street. Now he has no car for Thanksgiving and cop gave him a fine. My kids got hammered wed night. One got left at the bar and walked 3 miles to get home. I woke up 3 AM and saw that one kid was missing, so I called him. He was still a mile from home, so I drove to get him. When I got to him the police were questioning him, said they had a report of a man with a weapon having a mental health crisis. Luckily they got another call and let my doofus go home with me. A 22-year-old woman showed up at my house crying because she was lost and asked me if I could help her find her boyfriend's house. I was just about to put my streaks on the grill. My wife and I had a couple drinks at this point, so I offered to walk her to her boyfriend's house. She knew that he lived near the jail and that was only about a 15 minutes walk from my house. While we were walking she said that her phone and food stamp debit card got stolen recently, so she couldn't call her boyfriend. We ended up walking the area I thought he would love, and based upon her very incomplete description of where he lived, she said that some of the sites looked familiar, but she wasn't sure if we were in the right area. At one point we found a cop and she asked him for help, but he said that he was busy responding to a call. After walking a good chunk of my small hometown, we found his house, a 2-mile or so walk that ended up being just a few blocks from my house. It was a nice walk. My dog enjoyed it, and I got to help someone. She is my daughter's age and I didn't want anything bad to happen to her. My dad and stepmom were ragging on me, which is pretty normal. I came to their house for Thanksgiving and my brother showed up. My brother and I haven't seen each other in about 4 years. Anyway, so they are going on about me, and my brother is getting visibly uncomfortable. They've been like this to me my whole life and I think my brother had that realization very suddenly, same as I did when my girlfriend pointed it out. It was good to see someone get upset about the things they say to me. It makes me realize I'm not crazy. My boyfriend's brother bought over these really spicy chips he got at Five Below. I think they are called the spiciest chips in the world, IDK lol. Anyways, both of them ate one. About 5 minutes later, I walk into the kitchen and I see my boyfriend with tears rolling down his face and stuffing ice cream in his face mayo. Then he disappeared for a little bit, so I went upstairs and found him laying in the hallway, drenched in sweat and barely able to even speak. He said he threw up and he wasn't human for the next little bit. Both their grandparents were calling them idiots lol. All the grandkids came over and they are toddlers. They ran around the house most of the night in a pack. screaming and causing chaos and disorder, and eventually they made their way to the mantel above the fireplace where they discovered a box that they just couldn't resist picking up and opening. The oldest one grabbed handfuls of grey dust out of the box and started throwing it up in the air in the living room, yelling out "It's snowing, mommy," while my aunt stared in shock and horror. Apparently the kids found the ashes of our aunt's old cat and couldn't help but spread the love. Swear this just happened a few hours ago, and I couldn't make this up. 2 bites into my meal at my mother-in-law's house, my ring doorbell alerted me to someone ringing my doorbell. I pulled it up and catch an old man entering my house. I bolted out of my chair and went home. She lives close. I get there and no one is there. I pull up the video and see he exited like 20 seconds after he entered, grumbling "Wrong house." The funny thing was, as we were leaving, I thought to myself, did I lock the front door? What are the effing odds? My food was still warm when I got back to my mother-in-law's house. My mom died last night. This Thanksgiving pretty much sucked. Luckily, she had plenty of family that loved her, and it's been alright grieving. Unfortunately, my sister's last interaction with her was doing CPR. She's traumatized. Everyone is sad. Petty family drama and politics did not make an appearance this year. Just lots of prayers and people telling me they are sorry. My cousin was apparently at a party last night. This morning when she left, she gave a friend a ride home, and when the guy got out of her car he was shot 5 times. She rushed him to the ER, and he died shortly after. Needless to say, she wasn't at dinner. She is doing as fine as she can be. A large mixing bowl full of yams disappeared into nothing while everyone was trying to get food on the table. We have looked absolutely everywhere there is to look, and it's just gone. 9 people seriously questioning their sanity now. There are lots of things that could have happened to the yams themselves, but the bowl being missing is a real head scratcher. My dad's wife is back on meth. She hid his keys inside his car so that he can't find them, but it will still start. Push to start car so she can drive without him knowing. She also stuck a magnetic tracker thing on under his seat. I also found out that my cousin with Down syndrome can knock back whiskey just like she's drinking water. She parties harder than I ever could, and I'm jealous. My 17-year-old cousin stood up in the middle of dinner and announced he got a girl pregnant and she was keeping the baby. Most people laughed until about 30 awkward seconds went by, and one by one we started realizing that he was in fact serious when he started going into details. My 80-year-old grandma, who hasn't had a drink of alcohol in over a decade, drank wine straight out of the bottle after. Lol, my aunt and grandma got into an argument about whether there are prostitutes in our county or not. Grandma looking at aunt, how do you know there aren't any here? Aunt, because they are all down there. Dumbus, not my My great grandmother referred to my baby cousin as cute, but odd. The baby has Down syndrome. My mom's had some issues that I think my dad has been downplaying. She has good days and bad, but today was bad. Nothing she said made sense. No sentence connected to another sentence, and sometimes the end of a sentence wouldn't connect to the beginning, and she was very frustrated with everyone that we didn't understand. She had conversations with people that weren't there, swore people were there that were either dead or hadn't shown up. It was just my dad, her, and I. Very obvious who wasn't there. She saw me after dinner and said, "I'm so glad you finally made it. You missed it. It was a madhouse earlier with the kids running around." I could go on and on, but my dad brushed it off as her just being sleep deprived. It was kinda like talking to someone who was half awake and half dreaming, but this has happened a few times before. Not as bad, but she has refused to see a doctor. The tearjerker was when we gently helped her to understand that all night no one else had been here, and I could see it in her eyes. She said, "You're right, I do need to see someone." So I guess that's what we are doing in the morning. I hope she's having a good day and it will be easier to bring her. Is this dementia? IDK man, I've never seen it before. My sister, her best friend and my niece were so loud and belligerent the rest of us were convinced the neighbors would call the cops. My mom tried to warn my sister that she could end up getting arrested, but my sister pulled the "I know my rights" BS. Had to have a talk with my kid when we were leaving about not repeating anything she heard said tonight, because my sister, her best friend and my niece were saying non-stop deeply inappropriate slurs I'm insisting on a Thanksgiving with just me, my mom and daughter next year cause F dealing with that again next year. Although the highlight of the night was when my sister tried to say she's not, nor has ever been homophobic and everyone there had receipts to prove her wrong. That was hilarious. Hispanic family here, so you'll know alcohol is involved. It started off with drawing names for Secret Santa, and now we are hearing about how much of a whore each one of my aunts were. I was on my way to Thanksgiving when my car tire blew, so a homeless woman came by and helped me out. She was a former mechanic and was helping me out all while car side assistance was on its way. They both helped me out, and my dad wanted to leave right after, and he was getting mad that I didn't leave right away because she and I were talking. Now I'm at Thanksgiving and he asked why I got chippy because I wanted to talk to the homeless woman, and I responded right there, "I don't appreciate how you just labeled her like that." He didn't have a response. I got her number and I hope to help her out sometime down the road, but right after that, I was livid with my own dad, especially with someone who just helped me out who didn't need to. My boyfriend's family wanted to meet my mom for the first time, and we've been dating for over a year. My father is deceased, and my mother is currently living in a fifth wheel camper I had to buy for her after getting herself evicted from her apartment. Long story short, she's a narcissist and gets in everyone's face about everything all the time, and she's also a severe boozer/pill popper and constantly has to be high or drunk. She made us late for dinner, hogged the wine, and made sure she had her muscle relaxers, a huge bowl of weed, and an extra drink in her system before we even got there. She was fed up, and I had warned my boyfriend's parents beforehand this would probably happen. They all handled it with grace, but I was on the verge of having a mental breakdown the entire time. I plead with her to not smoke or drink anything, or take her wacky pills before we went. I'm nothing but a cash cow for her, and if I confront her about her use problems I'm immediately a terrible person, and she cuts me off. I'm deeply traumatized from the sudden death of my father in 2017, and feel morally obligated to support her, no matter how much she walks on me, and I want to die. My 78-year-old father had a massive heart attack in October. Mom just happened to have nitro on hand because she had a heart valve replacement and is required to carry it ever since. He absolutely would have died without it. His lad was 100% blocked. They couldn't get a stent in. He had open heart surgery. The bypass was successful. Did inpatient rehab. Spent weeks, a month. Got IDK. We were there literally every single day, and it felt like a lifetime. In the hospital, all 8 of my siblings, several nieces and nephews, aunts and uncles, friends of the family, the entire goddamn world showed up and brought food with them. The outpouring of love and concern was a sight. He's been home just over a week now and just in time for Thanksgiving. And oh my, we are giving thanks. He's doing great BTW. My partner's roommates shoved me into a wall and threatened to throw me and my partner down the stairs and knock me the F out, all because they were under some deluded impression that I had been stealing toilet paper from them. Anyway, check file a police report off my Thanksgiving bucket list, I guess. My grandma, who rarely ever talks, decided to spill 30-year-old tea on my mom, late granddad, and the war. She gathered up everyone that wasn't born then and started the story like a folklore. It was so dramatic and weirdly diabolical I thought it was some movie she'd seen before the big reveal at the end that the antagonist of the story was actually my mother as a teenager. Always wondered why out of her 8 kids my mom is the least favorite, and I can't even ask her about it or let her know I know, or a full-blown war will start. I have been having some mental health struggles, and I'm coming out of an episode where I was having some trouble speaking correctly. I have had episodes before, but this was the first time my speech was impacted so dramatically. I'm currently receiving treatment from my shrink and my therapist about it, but the big thing is it also happened at and impacted my work. I'm deeply embarrassed about it because it's not something that can go unnoticed, and I'm afraid it will impact my reputation. So this beautiful Thanksgiving morning I wake up to hear my mom talking on the phone to our dear family friend. Mom was in the next room over and always talks loudly, but is shocked when told we hear her. Of course the entire conversations is about how weird I've been talking, about how I was embarrassed about it, how it happened at work, all of my other symptoms which most people find very concerning/off-putting. and how because of the episode my family took my car keys, having too much trouble focusing, and having a lack of general awareness to be totally safe on the road. After 20 minutes I hide out in the bedroom with music turned up. So I guess I got to be the drama that makes everyone feel better about themselves this year. Okay, story time. My brother cheated on his girlfriend, we'll call her Lassie, a while back with some nasty girl, and he felt terrible. So he told her. By the way, they were together for 12 years, so she was family. He ended up leaving Lassie and moved out. That nasty girl ended up adding Lassie on Snapchat months before she found out he cheated, literally just spying on their relationship like a creep. Lassie posted on her Snapchat story weeks after they broke up for people to anonymously ask her questions. That nasty girl proceeded to ask if she wanted to know who the other woman was. After some FBI digging, we found out that she was the other woman and found her Instagram. The nasty girl ended up going out of her way to contact Lassie, telling her that she was the other woman and how she knew he had a girl the entire time and didn't care about their relationship at all. The audacity. She was rubbing it in her face so hard and basically bragging. Of course we all freaked the hell out and came at her crazy. My brother ended up bringing that girl to Thanksgiving. Knowing damn well our entire family hates her, we ignored her and made rude jabs towards her the entire time. I know she was uncomfortable-ish, as it should be. We made it a point to not start drama, but damn it was hard. I nearly felt bad, but that girl is literal scum.